All right, today we're going to dive into one of the most profound stories ever told, a story about life, death, and what comes next. We are talking about Plato's incredible myth of I mean, it's the ultimate question, isn't it? What happens after we die? For literally thousands of years, philosophers, prophets, and, well, pretty much all of us have wondered about this. It's a question that kind of defines so much of how we live.
But what if someone actually went to the other side, saw how the whole thing works, and then came back to tell us about it? Well, according to Plato, that's exactly what happened.
So let's get into it. Our story begins where a lot of great stories do, on a battlefield. This is the tale of one soldier's absolutely extraordinary journey.
Okay, so meet He's a soldier from a place called Pamphylia. He fought bravely, fell in battle, and his body was brought home. But then, something incredible happens. Just as his funeral pyre is being lit, a full 12 days after he died, he wakes up. And he's not just alive, he's a messenger. He's been sent back to tell us what he saw.
Now, it's really important to get this. This isn't just some spooky ghost story. Plato puts the myth of at the very end of his masterpiece, The Republic. He uses it as this powerful allegory to drive home his biggest ideas. We're talking morality, justice, and our own responsibility for the lives we lead.
Okay, so after he dies, Air's soul finds itself traveling with countless others to, well, you could call it a kind of cosmic sorting center, a place for judgment and transition.
And what saw was this incredibly orderly system. First, souls arrive and they face their judgment. The righteous, they're sent upward to heaven for 1,000 years of reward. The unjust, they're sent down into the earth for 1,000 years of punishment. After that whole journey, they all come back to the central point to get ready for their next life. So once their 1,000 years are up, the souls set off on another journey. This time they're headed to the very axis of the cosmos. You know, the machinery that actually turns the heavens. And it's here that Air sees something amazing, the spindle of necessity. The best way to picture it is like the drive shaft of the entire universe, with all the planets and stars just orbiting around it. It's looked after by the three fates, and it basically represents the unshakable laws of reality itself. It's the backdrop for what's about to be the most important event in any soul's existence.
And that brings us to the climax of the whole myth. This is where everything, and I mean everything, comes down to a single, powerful moment of choice. So, picture this. All the souls are gathered before the fates. They're about to pick their next life from this huge array of options laid out before them. But before they can, a divine herald steps forward to lay down the one, single, unbreakable rule of the game. And here it is. This is really Plato's core message, delivered by that herald. The responsibility for the choice rests entirely with the soul. Think about that. In other words, God is blameless. Your next life, whether you end up as a king or a craftsman, rich or poor, that's on you. It's your choice. Now, you're probably thinking the order of choosing has to matter, right? And yeah, the souls do draw lots. Some get to pick first, some get to pick last. But the herald makes it super clear. This isn't about luck. Even the very last soul to choose can find a good, worthy life, as long as they choose wisely. And this is where witnesses this great irony. The souls who just spent 1,000 years in heavenly bliss, they've kind of forgotten what suffering even feels like. So they rush in and they choose lives of tyrants or powerful rulers, dazzled by all that power and wealth. But the souls who just came from 1,000 years of punishment down below, oh, they chose carefully, thoughtfully. They often picked humble, quiet, peaceful lives. Why? Because their suffering had made them wise. And the best example of this? The hero Odysseus. He actually drew the very last lot. But after a whole lifetime of ambition and chaos, he wasn't looking for more of that. He searched around and found the life of a quiet, ordinary person, a private citizen. And he said that's the life he would have picked even if he'd been first in line. He had finally learned what truly matters. And once that choice is made, well, that's it. It's final. The fates step forward to seal the deal. Clotho spins the thread of this new life, and Atropos cuts it, making the decision irreversible. The soul is now bound to the destiny it chose for itself. So it's a fascinating story, right? But what does it all mean for us, living our lives right here, right now? This is the crucial part. This is where Plato connects that whole cosmic journey right back to our daily lives.
Okay, so before being reborn, every single soul has to drink from the river of forgetfulness, the river Amelis. And that's why we're born with no memory of all this, no memory of our cosmic choice or our past lives. But he was forbidden from drinking. That was the whole point, so he could come back and remember everything.
And really, that's the whole point of the story. Era's journey isn't really about predicting the future. It's a blueprint for how to live in the present. It's this urgent call to action, to think about how everything we do today echoes into eternity. So let's just break down the big takeaways here. Plato is telling us 4 really crucial things. First, our souls are immortal. Second, there's a cosmic system of justice for our actions. Third, and this is a big one, we have free will, and we are responsible for our own destiny. And fourth, a life of philosophy, of seeking wisdom, is the absolute key to choosing wisely. For Plato, that meant constantly trying to understand what is truly good, not just what looks good on the surface. When you get right down to it, it all boils down to this single idea. The character we build, the wisdom we gain day by day, it's not just practice for some far-off cosmic choice. It's what makes our lives, right now, more just, more virtuous, and way more fulfilling. The life we live today is the training ground for the most important decision we will ever make. And that leaves us with one final and kinda unavoidable question. Based on the life you've lived so far, on the wisdom you've gained, if you had to make that choice right now, this very second, what would you pick?